Hello.
Hello.
So welcome. This isn't Animal Crossing. Oops.
Oops.
Yeah, so I know we promised some sweet Animal Crossing content, but we're feeling the burnout, and I think, frankly, a lot of people are. So we're pivoting. Yay.
Yay.
Pivot. Pivot.
Pivot. I love Friends.
Yeah, you do. So we decided to do something a little bit different. We both have Steam libraries that we have not fully investigated. As a matter of fact, Nicole made a comment when she looked at my Steam library and saw that I had 800 plus Steam games, and she was like, "What the heck?"
You are a madman.
Yeah, I blame Humble Bundle primarily, but yeah. So we decided to grab some games from our Steam library, both play them for a set period of time, and give you our impressions. And so in this first episode of this new edition of what we're going to do with the channel, we are going to talk about Fez. Fez is an indie puzzle platform video game developed by Polytron Corporation and published by Trapdoor. It is a two-dimensional slash three-dimensional platformer with all kinds of interesting little puzzles and curiosities and whatnot. It is a little bit of and I quote, an underdog darling of the indie game scene. It was pretty high profile back around when it first came out because it was also one of the titles followed by the documentary Indie Game the Movie, including Super Meat Boy and Braid as well. And so a lot of people got an inside look to the late stages of development on Fez. A lot of time was spent with Phil Fish, the designer and the Polytron founder, who's kind of a little bit of a celebrity in the indie game scene, and we got to see them take the game to a show and show it to people and everything. So if you're interested in game design at all and indie games in particular, check out that documentary. It's a good watch. I'm sure it's not the entire story of everything ever, but it's pretty cool. And this is what I like to call part of the inaugural freshman class, if you will, of like the indie scene really blowing up. When this game came out in 2012, it was just when like indie games were really starting to get featured on platforms like the Xbox Store as well as the PlayStation Store, and really start to bring a lot of attention, to get a lot of buzz, and people were willing to give time and money to indie developers for games that are a little off the beaten path. And since then, the indie market has really carved out a pretty big portion of the marketplace that used to be dominated almost entirely by large AAA titles. That said, let's talk about the game itself. Nicole, what did you really like about this game that made you decide to bring it to the table?
Um, I I don't know. I feel like this game is so unique to me, and I know that obviously I'm sure that there are a lot of games that are like this. I just don't know of them because I'm very limited in the games that I play because just like with movies and TV shows, I'm very picky. I feel like it's very hard for me to get into a new game or a new show or whatever. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I thought this was really unique and interesting and beautiful, and it's cute at the same time, which is something I like because I'm a big girl. So yeah, I don't know. I like this game. I pretty much like everything about it, and I thought that maybe you'd enjoyed it too because you haven't played much of it.
Yeah, I'd given it a couple minutes when I first got it, but I hadn't spent any serious time with it. I think part of that was because I had watched so much of the development in the indie game, the movie documentary, that I was like, I kind of feel like I've played a little bit of it already. So I wasn't super excited to get it, in my hands and play it myself. But now that I got to play, we played for about a half an hour just to get a really good taste of like the beginning of the game. And I gotta say, I'm still blown away. 8 years later, after the game originally came out, it is still really cool. It is, first of all, beautiful, the visually stunning, the pixel art is really good, really inventive, and then the 3D, the toggle, if you will, where you get to shift the perspective of the level so that you can see everything in a different perspective is such a cool gameplay element. And I just love the fact that, like, for example, there can be two platforms that are right next to each other in one perspective, and you jump up on them and then you shift perspective and now they're miles apart. It's so cool. And it really, this game is such a testament to the genius that some of the indie scene has really pulled off. Like, it's a small development team. I believe it was 3 people, and what they accomplished here is just so incredible. And I know it took 5 years to develop because indie teams are small and they take forever, but it's such an accomplishment, and it was so fun to play. Like, it was fun to explore, look for the secrets and the little Easter eggs. It was fun to shift perspectives in rooms and see what was hidden on walls and in the nooks and crannies and stuff. And I just think it's so cool. The sound design is really good too. The soundtrack is great, and it's just, all in all, it's a lot of fun. And it's, like you said, it's cute. It's got a upbeat vibe. It's not super serious. It's not a bunch of like killing and all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for something along those lines, this might be right up there. And it's a tentpole. I can't stress enough. This was part of the group of games that really pioneered the indie scene and saying, like, listen, you can get amazing games from indie developers. They are worth your time. They're worth your money. They're worth your focus. This is a game that I'm sure millions of people have played, and a lot of people have had a lot of fun with it. And it's an amazing accomplishment. And because of the success of a game like Fez, so many other indie studios and projects got off the ground because there was proof in the pudding, if you will. And so I just really wanted to emphasize that. Was there anything else that really jumped out to you, Nicole, about the gameplay?
I don't know. It's weird because it's kind of like a pixel art game, but it really draws you in a way as well. I feel like a lot of times with pixel games, it's I guess less. I don't want to say emotional because I'm not sure if that's the right word, but it's a little bit more detached, I feel like. Like, you can appreciate the art and the characters and whatever, but you won't feel as drawn into it, maybe, as if it was like 3D rendered and super realistic. But I feel with this one, it's like I myself was really drawn into the story. I was like, oh, what's this? What's happening? Oh my god, I can turn this? I can turn this pillar? That is so cool. And so I don't know what it is about it. It really draws you in, and maybe it is the characters. Maybe it is Gomez because he's adorable and he's fascinated. Like, that scene when the fez comes down, he's like, oh,
Yeah.
ooh, kind of like that. I'm making weird sounds, but it's just, I don't know, it's cute, but it's fascinating and it's captivating as well. I feel like it's really unique. And again, I have a limited like experience with video games, but it feels more unique than some of the other games I know.
Yeah, it really is like the cinematic aspect of it, if you will. Like, during some of those scenes where like the fez is coming down, as you mentioned, it's so dramatic and wonderful, and it's exciting. Like, I actually like would love to watch like a child play the game and see scenes like that, and just see the effect it probably has on them. And also like the little tidbits, like the dialogue that you can initiate with various characters as you bump into them, the little things that they say. Some of them are cute, some of them are funny, some of them are like perplexing. There's so much love put into this game, so much attention to detail. It really stands out. I strongly recommend this game to somebody who wants to play something that's a little different. If you this hasn't been on your radar yet, particularly if you're a younger person who just wasn't playing games when this game really hit and made its initial splash, go back and look at this because it deserves some of your attention. Uh,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think what's interesting is so this game right now for me in my Steam is $10,
Yep.
10 euros. Um, you can also buy it with the soundtrack, but just the game itself is 10 euros. And what I noticed is that even though I've played the game for about 10 hours total, I have not made, like, I've not taken a large chunk out of it yet. Because there are so many parts of the map and so many secrets and so much to discover that you can really sink your teeth in it and just 100% it because it's gonna take you forever. So if you need a hobby or something to do, I
Yeah.
feel like this is something because, it's light but also exciting at the same time. Like it's not gonna weigh you down emotionally, so I feel like it's something you could play for a longer period of time without being like, I need a break. Even
Hmm.
though, well, some of the puzzles are a little bit intense where you're like, how the hell am I supposed to do this? But yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's also the kind of thing that makes you feel like you could set this down and come back to it. This is the kind of game, if you're playing on a console or something, you could set it down and like maybe play it a little bit before bed or something, and just you don't have to like sit down for a 10-hour game sesh. There's definitely opportunity for you to just really like take it piecemeal and enjoy a level or two or something like that, and then come back to it later. Potentially even set it down for a long time. As you mentioned in the store, it's not expensive. It's a $10 game at full price normally. It's same in
Well,
the North American market.
that's on PC. I don't know what it's like for other platforms. Like iOS, I'm not really sure. PlayStation, anything like that, I'm not really sure. But for Windows, or well, on Steam, let's say on Steam, it's $10 at least for me. Might depend on your area, but
I do believe that it's pretty equitable across platforms. Like it's got to be close to that price.
you know what? Let me check my app store. I have an iPhone, I have iOS, so I might as well check it. Um, yeah.
But also another thing to point out is that this is included as part of the Indie Game the Movie bundle. So that's a documentary that I mentioned earlier. If you want to support the documentary makers, even though the documentary came out 8 years ago, the bundle includes the documentary, the special edition DLC, which I have no idea what that means for the documentary, Super Meat Boy, which is a classic if you don't own it already, Fez, and Braid as well, all of which were subjects of focus in that doc. And it's a really good bundle. The price varies depending on if you own any of the titles. I own all three of the games, but I don't own the movie. So for me, it's asking for $11 for the movie and the special edition DLC. Check it out. If it's inexpensive as a bundle, like if it's like under $20 to get those three games and the movie, it's worth your time if you're into that kind of idea of like seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff and seeing like the struggles that indie developers go through. Check that out. The bundle, I like to always support filmmakers who are doing stuff who are pulling back the veil. So what did iOS have?
It's 5.49 for the iOS version. It only has 3 ratings, even though it was released on iOS in 2017. Um, it has a 4.7 rating, but out of 3 ratings, that doesn't really say much. Um, the only criticism I saw was that there are some bugs and some touch controls are hard to handle. However, that review is from a year ago, and I did see that they updated it 10 months ago, so that might have changed. But honestly, for 550, a game that you can just play for hours and hours and have fun with and jog your brain with, I don't think that's a bad deal at all.
Yeah, not even a little bit. So definitely,
I do think that I'm sorry. I do think that this would work on the Switch.
I don't know if it's available on Switch.
It is not. But I think it would work. I think it's a way I would play it more. Because if I'm just getting into bed but I'm not super sleepy yet, I might want to play something like that to kind of tire me out or something. I don't know. I could see it working.
I see. With that said, that brings us to the conclusion of our first review of a game from our Steam libraries.
Is that going to be the title of the series?
I have no idea. Just stay tuned. We're going to do this again with something else in the future. Thank you so much for taking your time and spending it with us, and we will see you next time. Bye.